Tell me about when you got to Norfolk State and how things have been.
Yes, I arrived here in late September of 2013, and I found the campus to be warm and inviting, a lot different than when I arrived at Virginia State in '93. I believe this campus really wanted someone that could give them time to get things right.
Yeah. When you walked in, there were a number of different issues at the time. Talk about some of the things that were going on and how you're trying to work through those.
When I arrived, there were probably three main issues. The board was very concerned about the audits that were several years behind. Secondly, they were concerned about a recently received SACS report. And when I say SACS, that's the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. And we are, of course, part of the college portion of that. And the third was the budget, because they had rightly so been concerned that because we didn't have books, we really didn't know where we were. So those were the three items that I was asked to pay attention to.
And what have you done in this year to work on those things?
Well, the most important thing is to identify the resources that were necessary to accomplish these goals. And fortunately, we were able to locate resources so that we continue to hire an outside auditing firm to help us. And we were able to land just outstanding staff members in our accounting and finance arena. We also got one of the probably state's best budget directors to come in, and he's really done remarkable work in straightening out the budget. And we have filed all the required SACS reports, and we expect to hear something from them in December.
Now, at the time when you said we weren't quite sure where we were before, when you found out, how bad was it?
When we found out, what we found out is that the budget was, the books were in balance. They were balanced. But the budget was actually larger than the revenues that we expected to see. So there were a number of positions that had been frozen to generate the money necessary for the books to be balanced. We immediately started evaluating, well, where did we need additional staff and where did we have too many staff? And unfortunately, the too many, largely because of the enrollment decline and the expected decline, we had more faculty than we really needed. And anytime when you reduce your faculty, it's a real difficult process.
Yeah. One of the other, it seemed at least, problematic areas was the nursing program. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it wasn't the nursing program in total. It was the two-year program. And when I had arrived, we had already had a sufficiently low score in our previous three exams that the state wanted us to close the program. And when I say state, it wasn't, say, SHEV that we normally talk about. It was actually the nursing board itself.
So, I mean, is it a done deal, or what's happened since then?
Well, the four-year program is strong as ever. In fact, our pass rate is just flat excellent on the four-year program. And we're expecting to expand that. The two-year program is gone.
Do you think it can come back, or?
Well, I don't know. Right now, we're not planning for that. I'm sure in the future it'll be discussed again. But most of the hospitals are looking for four-year RNs rather than two-year RNs. It has something to do with their certification that I'm not quite clear on. But I know their preference is a four-year RN.
Okay, now you mentioned SHEV. Recently, a couple weeks ago, SHEV had a meeting and voted on a couple of things. One of the things that was noted in that meeting was enrollment being down. Can you talk about that?
Yes. When I arrived, actually Chev had rejected the enrollment forecast that Norfolk State had presented previously, and we had an opportunity to adjust our enrollment figures. And we did see at that time that we were most likely going to be down. So we adjusted our number probably by about 7%. As fate would have it, we were actually still down a little more, about 3%. So that's within the Chev 5% variance, the second number. However, it did create a certain unexpected challenge, and again, it put us in a situation where we had more faculty than we actually had students.
When you say numbers, can you give me like where you all forecast you would be versus what you
Okay. Our revised forecast, I don't have it down to the person, was about 6,200 students, and right now we're at 6,000, slightly over 6,000.
That was the second number, right?
Yes, that was the revised number. The first number I didn't submit, so I'm not clear on that, but I think it was approaching 7,000 students, maybe 6,900.
What do you think is the reason for that?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. The main in our mind is financial aid, particularly at the federal level. The rules as it related to parents' loans, plus loans, and also the rules as to how long you could get a Pell Grant, both changed during this period. And it's caused us to lose more students than we were projecting at the time.
What do you do about that?
Well, you try to inform our congressional representatives. In fact, just Thursday night at our football game, spent a lot of time with Congressman Scott, who really understands the issue, and tried to convince him that the sooner these rules changed, became more favorable for parents and for students, the faster we would be able to recover our enrollment.
Yeah. I think, and I would ask, do you think it disproportionately hits HBCUs more so than maybe other schools?
I think in our case, where I always get this wrong, our median family income contribution is $75, the answer is obvious. If our 50th student, right in the middle, his or her family contribution is $75, then financial aid is the key to Norfolk State's success. We are about admitting students and giving them a chance to earn a 4-year degree in a 4-year environment. We also like transfer students, but we want to still provide an opportunity for a student that would like a 4-year education.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about security. We've done a lot of stories of late, more so around ODU than NSU, but it seemed like for a while it was around NSU more than anything. Do you see that noted shift?
Well, first of all, let me tell you what I tell parents. We're not a utopia. We reflect the community that we're in. So my goal is to have the same or a slightly better, and that means reduced, crime statistics as the neighborhood that we're around. Like ODU, more of our student-involved incidents occur just off campus, outside of our primary responsibility. So we have done a lot in my brief year. We've increased the number of emergency phones. We're having far more seminars with the students about drinking, about late night walks around campus or into the community. We're trying to convince them that they really need to be safe. My first police chief a long time ago said that if you don't have a safety plan, then you're part of somebody else's plan. So we try to make sure our students plan a little better. And lastly, sometimes it's just fate, luck. And our students are listening, and we still have late night munchies, but we're going to work on that too and try to figure out, is there some way to provide food in the late or early hours for our students.
Yeah. When you do see the incidents that happen just off campus, do you have conversations with Norfolk PD? And if so, what are those conversations like?
We have an excellent relationship with Norfolk's Police Department. I have not been present for those conversations. I only hear it from my chief, and I think we have a wonderful working relationship with them. We respond as backup to some of their calls. They respond to our calls, and it's working out very well from where I sit.
Do you, and I'm just asking, do you have any statistics over the last year about, like, say, how crime has shifted, or, you know?
We do have statistics on that. Again, I would probably direct you to our police chief. I get the morning report, which doesn't do a comparison to last year on this date. But by and large, most of our incidents unfortunately involve alcohol, larcenies, things of that nature, and we're trying desperately to deal with that.
What are some other things that you'd say you've kind of taken on as a president here and that you hope to accomplish here?
Well, I'm just one who's in between. I'm in between permanent presidents with a specific mission given by the board to do. Now, I did tell them other things that I find we're going to fix. So we're moving into other areas now that we believe our financial area is fixed, and we're looking for enhanced delivery of services. My initiatives will be efficiency. We're looking for investments we can make this year to make the institution more efficient in the future. We're looking at procurement, human resources. We're looking at our faculty and their credentials. So we're evaluating just about everything, and we'll issue reports so that if we don't get it done, a record will be left for whomever comes next.
Do you feel like you've really been able to make an impact in the year that you've been here?
Well, I think so. I really felt good this last week when we caught up on the audits. And, you know, catching up 3 years in roughly 13 months was a real accomplishment. And I can't give enough praise to our financial operations for the efforts that they put in. Spent a lot of late nights and early mornings for them, but my hat's off to them.
What do you think it's going to take to really sustain Norfolk State?
Well, we're going to need more state funding, and we're going to need more state financial aid. I think a report that's being released maybe today by JLARC suggests that the state needs to look at its financial aid policy, and I believe that's so. It's hard to fund new initiatives when you know the financial aid for the students isn't fully funded. So I hope the members of the General Assembly will really look at the financial aid and try to fund more of our need.